Hello, hello. Good morning. It is Monday, August 11th. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show. I'm Manila Chan. That over there is not Ted Rall. That is Scott Stantis in for our Ted Rall. Scott, of course, friend of the show, Ted's bestie. Scott is the cartoonist for the Chicago Tribune, creator of the comic strip Prickly City. He's a contributor to Center Clip, the winner of the Sigma Delta Chi Journalism Award. And of course, he co-hosts another podcast with Ted called DMZ America. So he is in for Ted today because as we just learned, Ted might be running away from being eaten by a bear right now in the woods in Montana.
Yeah, apparently we just learned from our wonderful producer that Ted has taken a little side trip to a cabin in the middle of nowhere, Montana. And as our producer said, the slogan of Montana, which I didn't know, is this. This would be interesting to know if this is on the license plate. Is Montana will kill you. But Ted he was offered firearms, and I'm not a big fan of firearms. But if I'm going into the middle of nowhere, Montana, I will take the firearm. And
I mean, it's not just middle of nowhere. Ted is apparently going to like the backwoods, like Ted Kaczynski style. Like, forget Ted Rall. This is like Ted Kaczynski style woods. Like, and Ted is going there unarmed, probably with just his iPad and an Apple Pencil to sketch things. Like,
no, I don't. We'll have to get a full report. Is this some kind of convergence, some kind of conversion of Ted? Is he going to come back as a monk?
He's going to come back with a big beard, like Ted.
I can see wearing some kind of beaver skin hat and
his hair is going to be all matted and weird. We're just not going to see Ted for like weeks. He's going to disappear,
and he'll come back with a manifesto, though.
I think so. That'll be his new book. But seriously, let's let the Montanan, the producer up here, to explain where it is Ted went and why it's stupid to be there without firearms.
Yeah, I strongly recommended that he take some of my guns, and for whatever reason he opted against it. Maybe he's going to use his superior kung fu or jiu-jitsu to go and wrestle the bears.
He'll reason with
brain
it.
Power.
Yes, he will. But if he does go out, though, I have to make sure that everyone knows that he was fighting 4 bears, and he beat 3 of them. The 4th one's one that got him. Yeah, so that's just going to be how we're. That's just going to be how we're just going to make this thing roll.
But seriously, Robbie, just name a couple of things that could happen to Ted in the backwoods of Montana.
Well, you could literally
die. I mean,
what kind of things could kill you? I think is the question.
What can kill you in Montana? Bears, obviously.
Yeah, so bears, mountain lions, those are a thing here. Ticks.
You have snakes?
Not where he is. It's too cold.
Oh, yeah, now it's too cold?
Oh, yeah. No, where he is, but because those snakes, they can't really hop in an Uber and then go south. When winter gets here, because if you're not from here, I mean, summer really only lasts about 5 weeks, honestly, and then you have winter. So that's Montana. So you have first winter, then you have real winter, then you have the third winter, then you have Indian summer that typically happens somewhere in March. Then you have winter again till May. That's Montana. So
Ted's alone. We just want to be clear. Ted's alone in some cabin somewhere deep in the forest.
I don't know if he's in a cabin.
You said he rented a cabin during our phone call during the pre-show. You said he's in a cabin.
I'm assuming he has a cabin. Maybe he has a tent.
You're assuming.
No, maybe he built a lean-to. Maybe
so
he's
the New Yorker
style
from New York City may be camping in the most Montana of Montana places.
Oh, this is the most Montana place. This is the training wheels. If you want to go to the real Montana place, you have to go to what they call the Bob Marshall Wilderness. It is one of the only places in the United States that's still unmapped. And there's no motor vehicles are allowed. You have to go in by horse or hiking, and there's signs all over. So if you get lost, you're never coming out. So
my God.
Very clear Now, this is it. Now, one of the most famous landmarks here in Montana, they call it the Great Wall of China. Do you want to know why they call it this?
Sure.
It's this huge cliff face. It's about 1,000 feet. It's a sheer drop. It looks like a wall. And so it's here in Montana. We own it. And so Montana is very proud of it. And if I had my way, we'd just chunk pedophiles off this cliff. But I don't have it my way.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think
but
consensus.
it sounds like where Ted is at is remote enough, especially to city folks like us.
Well, he's allowed to have a car at least, so he's got that going for him. Maybe stay in the car.
But there are large animals there.
Yeah, it's Montana.
Yeah, predators. So there's so
yeah.
Okay. Well,
yes. No.
All right.
No, he's going to have stories. I'm sure probably what he's doing is probably down there drawing and getting ideas, inspiration for his next edition of whatever comic strip he's going to be working on next.
Okay.
I mean, I thought a New York City apartment was perfectly fine for that, but all right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Scott, you're an artist. Don't you sometimes have to go and just kind of reset your moves and just go see God's creation and see just what it is that you can do to kind of just freshen things up a little bit?
Yeah, but I'm also a great believer in, the first things we did, we climbed out of the trees. We came down the plains of Africa. And the first thing we did is like, you know what? Sleeping on the ground outside sucks. So let's try sleeping in caves. Oh, wait, this isn't a whole lot better. Let's put down some hay or something and make mattresses and beds. And then God made hotels.
Yeah.
That's right. That's pretty much the summary of Genesis. That's kind of what happened.
In all seriousness, I'm sure that the man's staying in a cabin where he is. It's very remote, but it is where he is. It used to be a dude ranch that died. So there are there's cabins and things.
Okay.
And there used to be a lot of logging down there. The tree huggers killed that. So, but the buildings are still there. So I'm sure that he has a filter.
Let me ask you: is Montana getting screwed over? I mean, and by the way, Manila and I are both native Californios. But are Californians moving to Montana in droves and driving you absolutely batshit crazy?
Oh, they're driving us out. I mean, they're driving. Ted has got stories. Says when he came here, he was just like, Robbie, I wasn't sure, but now that he's actually seen it, he's the complaints that I've had. He said, you're 100% right, because we paid New York City prices for everything without the New York City wages.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ted said that.
Yeah, and it's killing small towns all over Montana. People can't afford to live here anymore. They're
People are getting priced out of housing.
No, they're trying to turn Montana into one great big retirement home. The problem is, I don't know who the hell they're going to have to run the retirement home when there's no workers here anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the Idaho, same thing in Idaho. I mean, Arizona, obviously it happened a long time ago. Oregon is experiencing the same thing. And now obviously it's just going to expand further out. So Montana is squarely in the crosshairs. Yep. And so is, I think New Mexico is going to be the next state that's going to be booming from Californians going, wait a minute, we voted for all these tax increases and now we have to pay them?
Yeah. True. Yeah.
What kind of idiot voted for these? Oh, wait, it was us.
That's right.
Yeah, don't go away because I know that we're kind of going over. But I told Ted when he got his rental, said, do not get one with California plates. He's like, well, why? I said, because the people here will run you off the road. They will put you in the ditch. They hate Californians. They hate you with a burning hatred. Do not get California plates on your car. Because you see it all the time. They will run you off the road. So you told him get a rental that has a different state plate. Yes. Or preferably Montana plates, or if you got to have something one from the south. Do not get California plates because they will run you off the road. Like you said, I know we're running over, but do Montana plates are they still cut in the shape of the state of Montana? Because they used to be, and it was awesome. Now they're just rectangular and they're blue and kind of pukey. Thanks a lot, Obama. Yeah, that's no fun. All right. Well, hopefully Ted survives, and there's a good reason that Montanans carry firearms and have gun racks on their trucks because bears and moose really actually wander around where people are. No, I offered him my rifle and my pistol. It's like, if you're going where you're going, you need to take this.
I'm not a huge fan of, like I said, firearms just sort of, pardon me, scare me, but I'm really good with them. And I would have taken you up on the pistol at least. What kind of pistol was it?
A Jericho 941, 40 calibers, a 40 caliber Desert Eagle that
Okay,
has
so
an effective range of 100 yards.
That'd put down something big, or at least they'd go, ouch.
Yeah. And I gave them
think twice about eating you.
Yeah, and I gave them the option of two different rifles. One's a Mosin Nagant, which is an old bolt action rifle, has a bullet about yay long.
Wow.
You see here. 7.62 by 54R. I actually used it
What's
to cut
the
down
range on
trees.
that?
It has an effective range of 2 miles.
Wow. No, you don't have a Sharps, do you? Because my brother was on the California shooting team. Believe it or not, when they still allowed people to have guns there, and so he had a Sharps and was, I mean, the distances, the competitions were crazy, and God, he was good. But I was better than him. It drove him absolutely nuts.
Yeah, but no, for them,
that Turkish Olympic shooter, that like middle-aged guy that came out with like no protection, no ear covers, just came out, was like pew 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 pew, and he just won everything, and he was like,
reholster.
No, I offered them
walked away chewing bubble gum.
No, I offered him that old bolt action rifle or an SKS, which is a semi-automatic precursor to the AK-47, uses the same kind of bullet.
Yeah, I think a guy who's not used to firearms, a pistol would be better. If you're in the, like I said, if you're in the,
well,
okay.
Well, if you're hiking, weight matters, right? But moral of the story is Russian guns work really good here because Montana is a lot like Siberia, especially in the winter. It's just, you got to have something that's reliable.
Jeez Louise. All right. So that's the update with Ted. No one's heard from him for hours. So all right. Thanks for that, Robbie. All right. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow to see if we hear back from Ted.
Oh, is Ted going to be on tomorrow?
No, just if there's an update, one of the three of us, I'm sure, will have gotten proof of life from Ted, I hope. So
sorry, why is this funny?
I don't know, because he's a New Yorker out in the woods in Montana where large predatory animals are, and he's unarmed.
I can just see him smacking a bear on the nose. I'm walking here. Quit
it. But yeah, let's pray that he's all right. He'll be back. We'll know that he's fine tomorrow, and we'll let you know if Ted has survived out in the wilderness by himself for a day, where there are actual bears that will eat you, because it's Montana. It is not the Virginia hills, like the Great Smoky Mountains and, in North Carolina. It's not that.
No,
this is Montana.
Yes.
So, and Ted decided to go on an adventure by himself without the Montanan.
Or the gun.
So, okay, we'll let you know tomorrow if Ted survives. So on today's show, we'll obviously be talking about, speaking of the wilderness, we'll be talking about Alaska, obviously, where the Putin-Trump meeting is taking place this Friday. Zelensky threatening to be a party crasher. The White House says, maybe, but I feel like this dance is for Trump and Putin. We'll discuss the details, or as much as we know right now anyway, and see if this 3-year-long war will come to a close maybe this weekend. That would be a good thing. Dying is not a good thing, and a lot of people are dying. Then we'll talk about Democrats Democrat with a capital D, that are potentially eyeballing 2028. They're kind of dipping their toes in, like putting their, licking their fingers and putting their fingers up there to see where the wind is blowing. We'll tell you who some of those people are, and they're wading into the conservative media sphere and getting a lot of blowback from their own party. And I think that's kind of a dumb thing to shut down conversation, but that seems to be a common thread with a lot of people in the Democratic Party. Scott, I think you probably agree. No room for conversation.
Oh, on either side. I mean, so the corporatists, the country club Democrats are poo-pooing any of the progressives. They're saying, oh, so clutching their pearls and whatever
Yes.
else they do at these things. But the progressives, on the other hand, are saying, terrible things about the moderate Democrats, or the kind of statist Democrats.
Yeah.
I'm going to sound like such an old man, Manila. I'm sorry, but I can remember there was obviously contention, because look at 1964. You look at the Republican Party nominates Barry Goldwater, a very conservative. So there's always been that conservative bent in the Republican Party, and then the more centrist candidates like Nixon, Ford. Anyway, so you had big tents in both parties. I mean, I have a button I got at the 1988 Republican convention that says "Republicans for Choice." I mean, there were those people. Don't forget I always tell people this. I believe I've told you before, but I know this sounds terrible and really uninteresting, but it's really interesting. It's the 1976 Republican Party platform from the convention that year. Pro-choice, pro-ERA, pro-immigration. What? Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like you would read it and go, wow, what? This is the Republican Party? And
okay.
it was driven by Jerry Ford and the more centrist, like Midwest Republicanism, the Howard Baker, Robert Dole kind of Republicans and the Democrats, on the other side.
I'm not a fan of Jerry Ford.
You know who gave a barn burner? And stay with me on this. And I wish Ted was here. I wish if Ted were alive today. I would love to discuss this with him and bring it up. Bernie gave a speech this weekend and he tore it up. The crowd went bananas. I know this is crazy given the octogenarian movements in both parties, apparently, especially the Democrats. He could go for a third try at this.
No way. No, we got to save this for the segment. We got to save it for the segment.
Okay, sorry.
My whole point to the headline tease is that I think it's a common theme in the Democratic Party of just shutting down conversation broadly. Like they're not my friend, so you can't be their friend either. And that's kind of like, how dare you go on Megyn Kelly?
And then they turn around and blast Republicans. Well, they're shooting down people who are not pro-Trump. And how dare, look at them, aren't they awful? And then, like you said, they turn around and eat their young.
More conversation is always better than less, is my opinion. More opinions, more thoughts, more talking is always better than none, at least in the world of politics. Then we will just briefly mention the CDC shooting that happened late Friday afternoon at the Atlanta headquarters. Allegedly, the shooter had some gripes about the mRNA vaccine, which he thought he was injured after getting the COVID jab. So a lot of speculation there. The guy didn't survive. I'm not sure yet if it was a self-inflicted wound or if the police took him down. But either way, the alleged shooter, David Rose, had, I guess, a recent history of complaints about the COVID vaccine. So we'll get you the updates there. And hopefully we can zoom to this and get time for this, is that Gen Z, so these are the people that are right now, the eldest of them are like in their mid to late 20s, not quite 30 yet. They're basically voting age up until, less than 30. They're not having sex.
And this isn't the first story about this that's come up. They are proudly proclaiming themselves celibate.
Yeah, that's an interesting generational conversation on their views for sex. So we got to make sure we get enough time for that. So with that, I'm going to jaws this thing and head to the first headline. All right, first up, as we said, this vaunted, heavily anticipated, finally, the meeting between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. As we all recall, Scott, Donald Trump promised he would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours after taking office. So that really didn't happen. That didn't happen. And we're now 7 months in, and there has been no advancement on peace. On Friday, Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are due to meet in Alaska. I don't know if it's in the wilderness. I don't know. Scott, I don't know if there's like a Camp David type thing in Alaska. I'm not sure.
You see Ted tromping by.
Yeah, I don't know where exactly they're meeting, but I'm like, is it going to be a cabin? Is it going to like what?
Yeah, Trump does not seem like the cabin guy, but that
no, yeah, but I mean, I don't think we have Camp David, Alaska.
Well, we have Alaska. So, they could certainly find a cabin somewhere. I suspect it's going to be, obviously indoors in someplace comfortable.
I would hope so. So this marks the first time the U.S. and Russian leaders have met since 2021. Scheduling a face-to-face meeting suggests there will be some sort of bilateral deal that's done. Whether it will bring long-term peace, that's another story. For now, Zelensky is not officially invited, and the Ukrainian leader has made it clear that the purported basis of any U.S.-Russia deal, in which they would cede any eastern territory of Ukraine to Russia, is a non-starter for Kiev. European capitals are also siding with Zelensky. But if there is a U.S.-Russia deal in Alaska, which, by the way, the U.S. bought from Russia in 1867 for only just a steal of $7.2 million.
Yeah.
What would
Seward's Folly do? It was called.
Yeah.
So what happens? I mean, this is one of those preposterous moments. I mean, I got to admit this. There's two big stories brewing right now. The other one is all these countries recognizing the state of Palestine, which makes me giggle because there's no state to recognize. It's preposterous. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. This is equally absurd because if you don't have all interested parties involved in the talks, then what the hell are you talking about? It would be we
differ on this.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. Let me just finish the thought that, okay, I have said before, and I'll say again, that the war is over. It is now a quagmire. It is the battle lines, the border has been established. What are we looking at? If you don't, ascend to cutting giving the eastern portions of Ukraine to Russia, then that's absurd too. It's over. That part of the Ukraine is gone. Ceding territory and by Zelensky saying we will cede no territory, that's absurd. You lost them. Okay, they're gone. Crimea, the same. That's been gone for quite some time. Now you can fight on, and loss of life, loss of property, loss of capital, time, and then 10 years from now they go to the peace table, and it's going to be the same result. So this may be where we can find some agreement. However, you still need to have Zelensky or a representative of the Ukrainian government, such as it is, to be there and say, yeah, we can agree to this, we can agree to that. Otherwise, Trump is already talking about, he's already cut some spending on Ukraine. He's talking about cutting it by 100%, and insisting that Europe step up, which they should, to underwrite that war. But I just don't see how I just don't see how it ends in the absurdity of that without having Zelensky there. I mean, so tell me how I'm wrong.
Well, pause that thought. So on the European front, and I'll respond to this after JD Vance, but on the European front, this is what JD Vance said to Maria Bartiromo regarding U.S. funding and how he says the Europeans need to step up.
To your point about weapons, what we said to the Europeans is simply, first of all, this is in your neck of the woods. This is in your back door. You guys have got to step up and take a bigger role in this thing. And if you care so much about this conflict, you should be willing to play a more direct and a more substantial way in funding this war yourself. I think the president, and I certainly think that America, we're done with the funding of the Ukraine war business. We want to bring about a peaceful settlement to this thing. We want to stop the killing. But Americans, I think, are sick of continuing to send their money, their tax dollars to this particular conflict. But if the Europeans want to step up and actually buy the weapons from American producers, we're okay with that, but we're not going to fund it ourselves anymore.
Okay, so what the vice president said there is basically, we ain't footing the bill anymore. If the Euros want to continue this this war effort and back Zelensky, then they can just buy our crap and they can do with it what they will. They can give it to Zelensky.
Yeah.
They can give it to warlords in South Sudan, whatever. Doesn't matter. Like, that's not our business. But like, once you buy it, it's yours, right? So that's what Zelensky is saying. Or excuse me, JD Vance is saying. Zelensky is saying, hey, what about me? Me, as he always does. Me. When he's had many one-on-one FaceTimes with all of these different world leaders, he's had several one-on-ones with Donald Trump. Where in all that time was Vladimir Putin? He was never invited. It was never a trilateral talk. So to me, this is a long-awaited private one-on-one. This needs to remain one-on-one with the two big boys who are actually in control of the war. I mean, let's face it. One, Zelensky's term as president ended last May, and he punted by saying, oh, I'm going to put in martial law. We're not going to have elections, when the United States has, no matter what wars we've been in, we've continually had U.S. elections.
Including a civil
all
war.
Of them. And exactly. Every single war that we've been involved in, we've, even on our own soil, we have never punted on elections, because that's what democracy is supposed to be.
Yes.
Zelensky over here defending democracy by punting on his term in power, by canceling religions, by canceling all outside media, especially those that would be critical of him. This is the supposed defender of Western democracy who has probably more frequent flyer miles than anybody else in the entire planet by now, because he goes around panhandling to any leader in any world, anybody that proclaims that, you know, they could be, you know, the chief penguin on the McDonald Islands, and he's going to be over there trying to panhandle for money there too, and trying to probably solicit for some penguins to join the fight in Ukraine. So this guy, that would be a really adorable fight. But like, no, you can't kill the penguins. That's what. But I'm really sick and tired of this guy. We've had nothing but our American media flooding our airwaves with this grifter here, who should no longer be in power, who obviously is a sock puppet leader that is just doing whatever it is, the bidding that the European Union wants, whatever, you know, the lady boss of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, wants, whatever, or in this case, it's Donald Trump, but whatever the United States wanted, which was a proxy war against Russia to begin with. And then, you know, this kind of ties exactly into the conversation we were having about the Democrats trying to say, no more talking, no conversations. You can't hear the other side. How dare you? That's what this guy has done for 3 years. The reason Ted and I are unemployed is because the American media and security apparatus has said, you cannot hear from the other side. You can't hear from not only Vladimir Putin, but you can't hear from anybody that even takes a paycheck from any company that might be based in Moscow. You're not allowed to hear any of that. The kibosh has been set. And now this guy has the nerve, after he's had multiple meetings with Donald Trump, this guy has the nerve to say, but me, invite me. I want to come. No. Sit down, Zelensky. Wait your turn. You've had plenty of times to dance with Donald Trump. Now let the real big boys have a real discussion, because whatever he says, do you really think Donald Trump is actually gonna give it any weight? There's any value to what Zelensky has to say? I mean, we're talking about Donald Trump here, Scott.
Right. I think that, you make a very valid point. I've been arguing that for the years, ever since the United States decided to go, or more to the point, Hunter Biden. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Joe Biden decided that we got involved in Ukraine because, money went into the Biden crime family. And I argued that this wasn't a democracy when he first canceled parliamentary elections. Then you went, oh, wait a minute, maybe the democracy thing ain't that big a deal to him. And as you mentioned, then the litany of not democratic actions continued. So supporting him. And by the way, Ukraine has never been an ally of the United States. That was always my take on this, that we should not have gotten involved, certainly as deeply as we did. But my problem with having, Putin and Trump meeting ostensibly to hammer out some, or at least conceivably hammer out a solution for the Ukraine war, is that if you cobble together a solution, you have to have all interested parties involved, even if they are kind of scoundrel pretend Democrats. And that's where my concern with this meeting, you can come out and have the bilateral thing and they sign the big book and Trump has the magic marker and all that. Where they're going with this, I mean, hopefully he could hammer out some kind of solution, but Putin seems this is the only solution we'll accept, and it's the one that we all knew would happen. Cede the territory, have a DMZ between Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine agrees not to join NATO for 10 years. There's a non-aggression pact. Yeah. Well, it just seems so ridiculous. I mean, I always thought Russia should join the EU, and but that's another issue for another discussion. But
the EU's fine. I mean, Vladimir Putin has always said, like, go ahead, join the EU. I don't care. He doesn't care about that because it's not a war pact like NATO is.
Yeah. And I can tell you, talking to friends in Lithuania, they're concerned with that. If this is the solution, then Putin is going to look at the Baltics next, because he's going to view the West as very weak. In that, will they come if and all three of the Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, are part of NATO. But I know they're very, very, very nervous there, and I think they have a right to be. So, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out. I mean, Donald Trump wants the Nobel Prize so badly that God knows what he's going to do. I know. I wonder if he'll frame it in gold and put it in the French whorehouse. I mean,
it'll definitely get like gold leaf on it, whatever, like. Oh my God.
Have you seen the Oval Office lately? It looks like, I mean, I'm sorry. It looks like a French whorehouse. It's just,
it's like grandma's Rococo.
Yes.
Or vomited but it's fine. Like, okay, whatever. Like some say Versailles. I say it's Versace, but okay, that's fine. To each his own.
Sure.
Whatever,
yeah,
tastes one has. I'm fine. Go for it. Like I don't have a problem with people's living their best lives and decorating the way they want. Like how this, it
is our room, it is our house, by the way. I just.
And I mean, that's what they call the U.S. Capitol too. But, but then Nancy Pelosi put up guardrails all around the whole entire thing and didn't let people in during COVID because we're the plebes. But
you're right.
At any rate, this whole thing with this guy, honestly, a lot of my rage just comes from being so tired of seeing this guy's face everywhere, seeing this guy come to Washington, D.C., when Nancy Pelosi still held the gavel, and she's over there spewing Slava Ukraini and unfurling a foreign flag on the floor. Like that to me was like so un-American and so undignified of the third highest office, the third person in line to become president, for her to do that and then have everybody else fall in line and Slava Ukraini. Like, that's unacceptable to me. And this guy, for whatever reason, he just, after a while, I'm just so sick and tired of this guy. They need to have real elections, get a real leader in there where the people of Ukraine still support, because this guy has lost, I think he's like at 30% approval rating. He is kidnapping old men and little boys now, boys that aren't even old enough to drive cars and men that are old enough to seek retirement. He's kidnapping them off the street. This war is unwinnable. We knew that from the jump. And he is putting all these people's lives on the line, decimating the male population. there's nothing left but like, old babushkas and women in Ukraine. Like that's really, I mean, it's horrible. Like I feel for those people. I see all these videos of these people being kidnapped from pizza parlors and nightclubs. I mean, they're just, there they are cutting a rug, and then suddenly like some goons put a sack over your head and take you. Like that's not how a so-called Western democracy should be run. This guy is certainly not the standard bearer of what we should think of as a Western democracy. So that illusion, I think, has been laid to rest now that Biden is out of office, and Trump let this guy, kind of show his ass when he came to the White House last time. And JD Vance, he and JD Vance sparred, and then he got booted out before he could even get lunch. And that's what he deserved. And I think now it's time for the big boys to talk. Those are the real people in charge of the war. This guy is just the middleman project manager. He's not really the owner of any of this. So I'm just tired of this guy, Scott. Anybody but him, just done. I'm just so done with this guy. Don't you hate, like, if you have, I think everybody has like that annoying cousin that's always jumping from job to job, and you know what I mean? Everybody has that annoying cousin. Somebody, whether it's your first cousin, second, but there's somebody in your family that you're like, God love them, but they're always jumping from job to job. They're always out of money. They just can't keep their shit together, and they're always showing up.
Yeah, I have a relative who likes to talk about all of his rich friends, even though he's sleeping on a floor somewhere. And
couch surfing.
Yeah, talks about how he's so beloved and so sought after, and you're just going, really? Because but Zelensky's the guy we got. I mean, we had, in Cuba, we had Castro. We didn't talk to him. And Yasser Arafat, when he was in charge of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, that's who you had to talk to. That's the game. And that right now the game is Zelensky. And so we'll see what comes out of this weekend. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe the two big brained people will figure it out.
Last thing I'll say, and we'll move on, is what I know from having worked for the Russians, the Russians. And obviously it's not as sexy as people try to have done write-ups about me to, try to paint me as some like Russian asset or something. I wish it was that I was that cool. I wish I was like some secret agent.
You have that femme fatale thing going. I got to admit, you could do that. You pull that off.
Really, I was really not that interesting, but having worked with many Russians, I know how the culture works and how they operate. And because Vladimir Putin has all the cards right now, they are slowly and methodically winning on the battlefield. They're not going to give up their territorial gain. They're not going to, they want what they want, and they've said it from the get-go. And Joe Biden didn't believe that from the jump in 2022. West has thwarted peace. Remember, Bojo went and thwarted peace talks like 2 months into it. But what this shows me, to have, let's say, any Russian show up to any meeting when you've had a prolonged fight with them, what this tells me on the diplomatic stage is that some sort of preliminary agreement has already been agreed to, because Vladimir Putin ain't showing up to the U.S. for nothing, because it'll look like weakness on his end by his people. Most of the Russian population is actually pissed off that he hasn't steamrolled all across Ukraine. They're actually way, way, way more war hockey than he is. And he's been the one that's more methodical. They're pissed off. They're just like, steamroll the whole thing all the way to Kiev, man. And he's the one that's taking it low and slow. They're actually pissed off about that. So for him to show up on U.S. soil, that's saying a lot. That alone says a lot to me, because the Russians as a culture do not show up unless they know that they're in the driver's seat, because showing up on U.S. soil would otherwise make them look weak. If he shows up to U.S. soil and for some ungodly reason walks away with, like none of the Donbass, let's say, he's going to go back home and there will be upheaval and riots. So that's not going to happen. So to me, that's why Zelensky is going bonkers and tweeting up a storm. Like literally, he's been tweeting nonstop for like 48 hours in screeds, long screeds, just delirious screeds. It's because he knows that as well, is that Putin isn't coming here to concede. And it means something has already been agreed upon. It's a cultural thing. Like he would not show up here unless he already had preliminary deals hashed out.
Okay. We have a commercial or something coming up, don't we?
Oh, we do. We do. Is that right, Robbie? Thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah, we do. All right. Go ahead and put that up. Go ahead and put that up. I guess I have to do a sponsor.
Yay.
I don't know who that is today. Yeah. Yay, of course. But I wonder who it is today. It's like every show we get like sponsorship roulette. We're like, we don't know who it is. So I never know. One time we got a medical thing last week. Like we had just talked about, I don't know what. Oh, this time it's a word from our actual sponsor, Rumble itself. All right. So I guess we're ready for that. All right. So you've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off your annual membership or subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. So that's the deal. I'm for that.
I'm all for that.
Premium member. I'm all for all of that language. All right. So on to our next topic. Let me get that pulled up real quick here.
Democrats marching into the future, looking forward to 2028. Who will be the nominees? So many names. So
there are, but we don't know any. Like,
oh God, she's back.
These faces. All these
looking at
faces.
Kamala there. Oh my God. I mean, she decided not to run for governor of California, which was not going to.
I was surprised. This is a screen grab from CNN, July 17th, 2025. So California Governor Gavin Newsom traveled to Tennessee to appear on a podcast by Sean Ryan, a conservative, tattooed former Navy SEAL who opened the show by handing Newsom a Sig Sauer pistol that the Democratic governor proclaimed too cool. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro joined a podcast a few days later, hosted by none other than Ted Nugent, the pro-Trump activist and one-time hard rocker, to discuss his support for allowing hunting in the Keystone State on Sundays, just on Sundays. Thought that was God's Day, but okay. Former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel appeared on the Megyn Kelly show, hosted by, of course, the former Fox News host, where he said that a man cannot become a woman, then joked that given the likely reaction from his fellow Democrats, that answer would require him to, quote, go into a witness protection plan. So as prominent Democrats begin testing the waters for a potential 2028 presidential run, some have been explicitly rejecting tenets of liberal orthodoxy in high-profile ways, often in venues that might attract independent or pro-Trump listeners. The appearances come as many Democrats, especially centrists, are urging the party to embrace what they say is a key lesson from their 2024 loss to Donald Trump, that Democrats must distance themselves from the most easily weaponized left-leaning positions, and that they must engage with podcasts, radio shows, and other media that are outside the liberal sphere. Some Democrats say Vice President Kamala Harris should have delivered a speech repudiating one or more progressive positions, like on immigration or trans athletes or COVID-related school closures that allowed Republicans to portray her as an out-of-touch liberal. Harris did not emphasize these issues, rarely talking about trans or immigration reform, for example, but she did not vocally reject them either. Recent polls suggest that Democrats' problems go way far beyond messaging. A Wall Street Journal poll in late July showed that the party's image is at its lowest in more than 30 years, with 63% of voters holding unfavorable views of the party and seeing Republicans as better at handling most issues that decide elections. Democrats are still struggling with how to reverse that trend and what mix of new policies and different messaging would be most effective. With the next election more than 3 years away, it's way too early. Obviously, I'm going to skip all that because that's just meh. Senator Ruben Gallego, Democrat from Arizona, startled many Democrats in January by co-sponsoring the Laken Riley Act, a law deplored by liberals that requires federal agents to detain migrants charged with crimes like theft and shoplifting. Democratic Maryland Governor Wes Moore, the nation's only Black governor, drew sharp criticism from civil rights leaders in May for vetoing a bill to study slavery reparations. Quote, what the Republicans did wonderfully was that they focused on inflation, they focused on the border, and they made the election about that, said Democratic strategist Neil Oxman. They said we were too woke and talking about trans stuff and all that crap. And instead of talking about inflation and the border, we only talked about abortion and things that played right into Republicans' hands. We got caught in the trap. We can't let that happen again. Scott, have at it.
Let me jump in and say there's some breaking news. President Donald Trump announced he is placing the Washington, D.C. Police Department under direct federal control and deploying National Guard troops to the nation's capital. The move comes after Trump ordered 7-day surge in federal law enforcement with the city that last week, pointing to several high-profile crimes. Wasn't it an aide to one of his people?
One of the Doge kids. Almost got carjacked, and that's why he was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, I'm not sure that bad as that is, and as traumatizing as I'm sure it was for the Doge dude. I'm not sure that it necessitated this kind of over the top response, but because having National Guard in the streets and having armed, troops on the streets of our nation's capital, not a good look. Visual. Not a good look at all.
Didn't he learn from the aforementioned Nancy Pelosi after J6? Like I lived it. Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about that with Trump's other edict that's coming a little bit later tonight about disappearing the homeless people.
Yeah. I guess, you could ship them off to.
But on this,
Montana.
What do you think? What do you think?
I'm looking at this. I think they're absolutely right.
All the faces.
All the faces, but that's not unusual for an open. It really is going to be a wide open race. I see AOC in there as well. Newsom, you and I are, like I said, as I said earlier, fellow Californians, and so we follow it passively. I'm not sure how actively you follow Governor Newsom, but he's been a catastrophe as the mayor of San Francisco. He's been a catastrophe as the governor of California. So what's his slogan going to be? I'm going to do the country what I did to California. Super. So we're going to have Pacific to Atlantic homeless camps. It'll be awesome. I'm looking at Kamala, which is, she lost. She lost to Donald Trump, a guy who had the insurrection. She lost to this guy. She lost because she was a terrible candidate. I think she didn't run for governor of California because, quite frankly, I think she's lazy.
I think we all agree with that.
I mean,
you actually have to work.
Yeah, and it's it's an administrative position. It's hard. And it's the most populous state in the union. It's what, the 7th or 8th largest economy on the planet. California is,
fourth, from last I saw.
Is it 4th? Holy Mary. Okay.
4th.
So that's astounding. And the Democrats, though, I'm sorry, Rahm Emanuel, who I cartooned about a lot while he was mayor of Chicago. That's preposterous. Governor Pritzker,
really?
JB Pritzker. What, Rahm Emanuel? I
Sure
think
Ted is there, yeah.
he'd probably be a pretty good president, quite frankly. I mean, he's
Rahm
centrist.
Emanuel?
Yes, he's centrist. He knows how to work the machinations of government. He's been, as chief of staff under President Obama. Yeah. He knows how things work and how to make them work. So it wouldn't be a bad choice.
He'd be the first Jewish president, if that happens.
He would be. J.B. Pritzker, another a Jewish person running, the governor of Illinois, who I also cartoon about, who's also a catastrophe. All of our problems will be cans.
Isn't he getting sued right now by Texas for harboring the?
Yes. Yeah,
the state house,
and so
Democrat?
they're playing whack a Texas legislator as they move them around. Buttigieg, who I think is actually a very strong candidate. I don't think on paper.
I don't know why you and Ted. Well, on paper maybe. I don't know why you and Ted think that guy stands a chance. The polls I saw was like 70%. No way on Buttigieg.
I think the country is nowhere near ready to vote for a gay candidate. We're not ready for.
What are his bona fides?
He did a good job. I mean, the mayor of North Bend, East Bend, South Bend.
Yeah, I was the mayor of my high school, so
Yeah, but as the Secretary of Transportation, many governors in red states have said he does a good job. I think he did do a good job. I think he seems to be sober. Frankly, I think Whitmer is the person I thought would be near the top of the list, the current governor of Michigan. She, again, can appeal to and talks to people's concerns. And I know this will shock many of our Democratic listeners. Their concerns aren't that a boy can play as a girl in sports. Their main concerns are not the 20% side of 80-20 issues. And that's where the Democrats, I mean, look, what are Americans concerned with? I'll make this super simple. What are they concerned with right now? Cost of living. Inflation is going to go back up because of the Trump tariffs, and housing costs are still way too high. Those are two massive issues. The Democrats have to come forward with some kind of solution, some kind of answer to those, not to mention healthcare. Those are the issues. During the Clinton run in 92, when it's the economy stupid, this is exactly what the Democrats need to be addressing. And so these identity politics stuff is bullshit. It's just bullshit. And people, and
you can't win on that. You can't eat identity.
Right. You can't. Exactly. That's beautiful. Oh, that's really well put. I'm going to steal that. Thank you.
Please.
You can't eat identity. I mean, I go to, you go out to lunch now, and it's no, if you come out of lunch with under $30, tell me where you went. We went, my wife and I like to go grab a cup of coffee at the Starbucks, and we walk away $14 for two coffee drinks.
For two coffees?
Yeah. Well, coffee drinks, let's be clear.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
We're one of those, the two pump with the the almond milk. Yeah, we're one of those. My point is, everything, that's what they have to talk about. And that's where the Republicans are very vulnerable, is on economic issues right now. And the Democrats are like, we're going to tax you till you bleed. All of these governors who are running, Pritzker, Newsom, Whitmer less so, but they're all like, we're going to tax you until you can't walk anymore. And it's like, that's not what people want to hear, especially the underemployed. And let's look at that. The employment numbers. I mean, Trump can fire as many people as he wants. The employment numbers are what they are. And in many hurting communities, unemployment is still a real issue, and underemployment, more to the point, is the issue. Now, how do they address it? Is raising the minimum wage, is that a winning argument for them? I don't know. But they've got to come around and actually address issues that people give a shit about. And they just aren't. And except for Bernie Sanders, who gave the speech this weekend, I'm going back to that and saying he addressed those issues. I mean, now his solutions suck. I totally disagree with them, coming from the political position, I subscribe to, which is a libertarian conservative. But at least he addresses it. He goes to the American people and say, listen, I mean, a famous former president, I feel your pain.
That's
You've got
one of the viewers on Rumble actually said that. Adrian said, "What happened to all the Southern Democrats?" Which I think he's implying is, those moderates that are
yeah,
not. I mean, I guess
yeah,
they all. I don't know if they just aged out and retired, or
yes,
they're
yeah,
just not there.
in a lot of states, when I moved here, I worked at the Birmingham News here in Alabama for many, many years, and I was a Republican. I came here as a Republican, and that was still kind of an anomaly. Most of the leadership was Democrat, but they were blue dog or yellow dog Democrats. They're all gone. Here in Alabama, for instance, in the state legislature, in both the House and the Senate, there is one white Democrat. One. So here in the South, the parties are divided along racial lines, which I hate, in large part. So to answer your question, they've retired or died. There are no,
and Bernie's hanging on in there, but Ray, our regular viewer, Ray C 2020 says Dems are done. Time to end it. Start a new party. Socialists hate the Democrats. They say it in their streaming events. So that wing is done with them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
if
talk to Ted.
I don't know.
Well, if Ted were alive today, I know just keep saying that he would
maybe
agree
the bear that inhabits his spirit inhabits a particular bear. It'll be the first talking bear, cartooning talking bear.
That'd be adorable. You see a
I
little
kind of like that.
drawing. Yeah, that'd be adorable.
I really kind of like that. Like, all right, Ted.
But Ted often addresses the his lack of love for the Democratic Party because they kicked him out. They kicked people like him out, and the progressives who are coming up now are being shouted down, being marginalized, and being ignored. And then that's what happens. And then the party has. I'm looking at your wiki page you have up here. You have Biden, Bernie, and Elizabeth Warren.
104.
Yeah, their collective ages are 520. It's like it's so weird to think of the Democratic Party.
Look at Bloomberg. All these people are in their 80s. Like what?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's because they hold on to power and they can cling to power. We should have term limits.
Isn't that part of the problem from the Democratic perspective?
Oh, yes.
Is that they've clung with their bony old fingers to their political power until they literally drop dead in their seat like Dianne Feinstein did. And then they've never allowed time to, I mean, there's no proper way to say it, so I'm just going to say it. They've never allowed for proper grooming of the next stable of youngsters to come up and take the helm.
And I'll tell you why. And I think I figured it out. Why would they cling to power? Is power, and I have to admit,
it's intoxicating, man.
I don't know. It wasn't for me. It hasn't been for me.
I'm not into that either. I
never understood it. And I'm thinking, gosh, are there that many people who cling to? And Manila, it really comes down to Occam's razor. The simplest solution is always the right answer. And the answer is they make a fuck ton of money. They make a lot of money. And frankly, the intellectual, there she is now. There's Kamala.
Speaking of intellectuals, you called her name.
What else could she do? I mean, so if you're in the legislature, if you're in the federal legislature, you have insider information. You know that there are apps now that are pegged to these people wherever they invest their money.
Wherever Nancy Pelosi parks the money.
Right.
That's where you go.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene made $4.5 million last year. She's a congressman. Okay. The job pays $180 base salary. So these people, they stay in power. They're not there for the power, although that's nice. They're not there for the prestige, which they would never get. I mean, let's see, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, let's be honest. Where else would she'd never make that kind of money? The best she could hope for is to be like the weekend manager at a Costco. I mean, that's it.
Actually, she runs a couple of small businesses back home.
I bet she does.
Georgia. I mean, that's how she was active, like as a PTA mom or something, and then she became like kind of a local, outspoken person in city council, and then kind of worked her way up in local state politics because her people actually really like her, and she's a small business owner. And I guess she's been fairly successful.
I was going to say she did really well last year. $4.5 million for someone who small businesses in rural Georgia.
Yeah, I don't know much about her businesses, but that's how she
my point is that
she wasn't poor to begin with, though.
Okay, but she wasn't this love kind of rich, and they're staying
No,
because they can be this kind of rich. And I mean, Nancy Pelosi is obviously at the top of that list, but Dianne Feinstein, look at the mansions. All of them have mansions. All of them. I mean,
Yeah.
how does a guy who, like Joe Biden's been in public life for 40 plus years, and yet he has not one kids, but 2 mansions. One of them, this gorgeous, I mean, talk about gorgeous place right on the ocean with a swimming pool.
Right on the beach in Delaware.
Not bad,
Well,
Joe.
that's where his old classic vet was stored, and in the glove box were all of those documents, classified documents.
I don't know. I've never seen them before. They're in the background of a video. You're walking around in your garage. I have a garage. It's like,
that's exactly right. So, I mean, yeah, I think
so
with
going forward, the
great
Democrat
power
Party
comes great money.
Yeah, well, that's the point. And then that's the point. And that's why they cling so hard. And so you're not going to, why would they, you're not going to pry them out of office because they make this kind of money. Frankly, when they introduced the legislation that you cannot trade stocks if you're in the Congress
Right.
or in the White House or in the Supreme Court, I love that. I love that law because then.
Or in the revolving door between you leaving Capitol Hill and then going to some board at Pfizer or something, and that revolving door.
Yeah, like Abraham Lincoln, you're a high profile guy in our community. You serve, and so they sent him to Congress. That was how he served, and obviously he ran for U.S. Senate a few years later. But they always came. There were some who were career Congress people, but for the most part, you went for 2 terms tops, and then you came home. And now, I mean, how many? I don't know the answer to this question. But how many of these people have been in Congress so long? What's the average now? And so the Democratic Party, who's going to be the nominee? If you had to, let's put cards on the table, 2020, it's 2028. The Democrats are meeting in Sheboygan, let's say, because why not?
I've been saying it. Governor Newsom.
You really think so?
I don't think he's going to win, but I think he'll get the party nod.
Yeah, Trump kind of alluded to already, we're only 6 months into this term. It's hilarious. Yeah, I know, but he's already alluded to who he would see as the Republican nominees in 28. And he said Vance and, Vance and, who's the weenie from Florida? Secretary of State. Rubio. Yeah,
Ew.
That's the ticket. That's the ticket he'd see.
Ew. Oh no.
Well, I think Vance
or Rubio.
Yeah,
Vance would be okay, but with Rubio, ew, big ew.
Well, I agree. I couldn't agree more. So, but regardless, that's who I think the Republicans. I think it's Vance's to lose, and I think he'll be a strong candidate.
He's the heir apparent, I think.
But on the Democratic side, I don't know if it's going to be Newsom. Like I said, I think Whitmer makes the most sense. Shapiro makes the most sense. But they could go.
I could see her as a dark horse. I think right now the front runners would be Newsom, Shapiro, and then the dark horse would be Whitmer. She could surge out of nowhere. She's an attractive lady, right? That never hurts. Yeah. And she's young. I think she's in her early 50s.
That's young.
And I don't know how smart she actually is, because without a doubt, whoever it is going to have to debate JD Vance. And JD Vance, whatever people think of him, he's a smart dude and a great orator.
Yeah.
And
no, I couldn't agree more.
And
of the
the
4 candidates, the 2 presidential and the 2 vice presidential candidates, he is the only one who impressed me.
Yeah. Smart
He's
guy.
the only one at the end of that debate you went, wow.
Yeah.
And maybe by comparison to Walz, that was just how it was going to come out, because man.
So yeah, I think it's anybody's guess for the Democrats, but I think this is the stable that we're looking at in this original picture here. I think this is right. I think this is the stable.
Yeah, I think, like I said, Shapiro is going to appeal. Pritzker he's a strong candidate. He's tough verbally. He really has taken on Trump and MAGA. So I think he'll have a lot of red meat for Democrats. But if anyone looks at his record as governor of Illinois, there is a lot of can kicking, and by that I mean the billions of dollars in the pension shortfall, which he has not addressed, so it's still hanging out there like a big steaming turd, and other issues. Plus, he's raised taxes consistently.
Yeah.
That's going to be but Kamala, I mean, I'm just looking at that going,
look, why would CNN even put her, like, she's demolished. Like, it's done. Like,
that's well put. Yeah.
She's been demolished. Like, it's just like, no, like, you'd be a fool to even try to pony her back up onto the national stage.
It'll be embarrassing for her. And I think that's why she didn't. And I think that's why she didn't run for governor of California, because I think she would have lost.
No, she would have won, Scott.
I'm not convinced of that. You think so?
Early pre-polling, because of name recognition alone, she would have won based on that, and the fact that she would have sucked the air out of all of Sacramento politics. Everybody would have backed down, because that's how the Democratic Party works, right? They don't work in a way of who's got the most merit to have the position. That party, and the Democrats with a capital D, the way this worked for Hillary Clinton and so on, and everybody before that, it's who is next in line. We've heard the late Congressman Jerry Connolly, who represented Virginia, was pissed off about, I forget what committee group he wanted to be in charge of, and he literally said on air, no, or AOC. He lashed out at AOC and said that she can't have that position. It's my turn. Yeah. But then he recently dropped dead. R.I.P. Mr. Connolly. But that's how the party, that's a little insight to how the party works. And with Kamala Harris, she having been the vice president of California, she's not even, I don't know if she's even a native, but she kind of grew up in California after she left Canada at some point. So everyone was going to bow out. Everybody was going to bow out of the governor's race in California if she decided to go in. So she, by default, would have won.
Well, she would have run the nomination. I think there's a real opportunity for a reasonable, thoughtful Republican to win that race there in California, because people are, for the first time in the United States history, people are leaving. More people left than came in. That's unheard of.
Incredible. I would like to see Rick Caruso actually take a run for it.
That would be, any charismatic, thoughtful, any who can articulate the Republican conservative, and they're going to paint him saying he's MAGA, he's Donald Trump, he's what? He's
technically a Democrat. I know. We're both rolling our eyes. This is the guy that created all of these beautiful outdoor shopping areas across Southern California. If people don't know, what is it called? Next to the Grove in Los Angeles,
really?
Next to the farmer's market. That's a Rick Caruso property. The Americana at Brand in Glendale, that is a Rick Caruso property. So he's a big time developer all over in Southern California. These beautiful Las Vegas resort style shopping experiences, right? If he could bring that to the rest of the state, he would win hands down. Hands down. If he just says, I'm going to use my business acumen and how I keep my shopping malls, my outdoor shopping spaces safe and clean and beautiful, I'm going to bring this all across the state. Boom. He'll win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're a little over maybe, but I do want to talk about sex. Just because.
We got to do at least just the update. We don't have to talk about it. The shooter update.
Go.
From the CDC. I'll just give you a quick
David Rose.
Yeah, that's his name there. So authorities have identified the suspect behind Friday's shooting at the Atlanta headquarters of the CDC. The suspect, 30-year-old Patrick Joseph White from nearby Kennesaw. I guess that's Kennesaw, Georgia. if I'm saying that properly, reportedly claimed to have suffered physical ailments as a result of the COVID-19 vaccine. His father reported him as suicidal to law enforcement just hours before the attack. The gunman was allegedly refused entry. Well, no duh. Could be that you were carrying 8 weapons into the CDC buildings. And then he posted up over at the CVS facing the buildings shortly before 5 p.m. He began firing. He struck one police officer, a 33-year-old rookie named David Rose, and he struck four buildings in the CDC. So he was, I guess, just spraying bullets. There's video I wanted to show. I don't know where they were, but really close. Have a look at this.
Oh, wow.
That's allegedly the shooter there. And somebody, I don't know where they are, but in a shop across the parking lot, like 30 feet from the alleged shooter. I mean,
the booming sound.
The video. Well, you see how close this eyewitness is, and there the guy goes. He just turns the corner and starts firing. And then when police found the shooter, he was apparently on the second floor of the CVS. I don't know if that's part of the shopping area or if it's like employees only, but that's horrifying. And I can't believe only one police officer was killed, because you'll see in this video footage here, there's like a hail of shells just all over the floor, just all over the ground. And I can't believe that nobody else was injured.
Thank God.
So just
I'm sorry
unbelievable.
that Officer Rose. I hope he's recovers okay.
No, he's dead. No, he died.
Oh no!
This man right here, he died. He leaves behind a wife, 2 children, and a baby, a third on the way.
Oh man!
Yeah, really sad. Really sad.
That's
He's like a rookie officer, recent career shift, went into law enforcement, and was killed. Responding to this active shooter.
And the perpetrator is dead as well. Is that right?
Yeah,
if he was shot or if he killed himself.
That's correct. They don't know if he offed himself or if return fire by police took him out.
So,
but
anyone who's considering this out there, let me just say, if you're into, considering murder suicide, do the last one first, please.
Yes. Yeah, make it easier for the rest of us. But look, he ran inside. Can you imagine you're at CVS and this dude, you're just picking up your prescription? Like, look at this. Look at this hail of bullet. Look at this.
Oh my God, you're just there. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking you go to the CVS. Yeah, I just got to get my foot cream. I'll be back out in a second.
Be right back. I'm just gonna go get, some cotton swabs for my ears. I'll be right back. What the hell? And dude comes running in with like 8 different firearms on him. They found him with like 6 still loaded weapons. So he was planning a massive thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I gotta say,
I could tell Officer Rose probably saved a lot of lives before he lost his own.
Yeah, God bless him. And his family. I'm so sorry.
It's so awful. I can't. Pregnant wife. Oh.
Yeah. No, this sucks. And the CDC, I have friends, I've talked to them who are anti-vax and all that stuff. I've had well, I disagree with you. We're going to have to, that's another time for another discussion, but the vaccine for COVID actually did help me a great deal. COVID almost killed me. And
I'm all for freedom of choice.
I would say you're right. Absolutely.
So,
but I would say
that's my only thing.
But vaccines have worked extremely well for the last few hundred years. I'm
not against I'm not an anti-vaxxer per se, but when it came to this particular vaccine and trying to force feed it to everybody, I'm against that. I'm all for liberty. I'm all for freedom of choice. For example, like I may not go get an abortion, but I support women's choice. Because
you're consistent. That's good.
So
freedom of choice, but your choices also have consequences. So if you, and if a business says you have to be vaccinated in order to work here, They make the rules. They hire and fire people. That's their right too. But yeah, this guy.
That part, I would argue that would be like saying, Manila, unless you show me your damn pap smear test from last year, you're fired. I would say, fuck you. That's my body. It's none of your business.
Well, I think the employer has to prove applicability, if that's a word. It is now. I just made one up. Look at me.
But that's how I view it. Is my personal health choices. Like, for all anyone knows, I could be walking around with a virulent strain of, I don't know, some kind of STD. But that's none of my employer's business, right? Like, I'm not going around,
right? Unless you're a sex worker.
Sure, if I was a sex worker, but given that, I was a news anchor, it's probably pretty safe that I'm not going to.
Well, like I said, you have to prove applicability. I can't, like you said, you can't just say, but if you're, you have to make, pardon me, you have to make the case for why I am mandating that you have to have this or that in order to be employed here.
I mean, but that's what was behind supposedly the motivation of this shooter at the CDC was he says he was vaccine injured. There's a lot of, I'm still into those debates now. I'm just all for freedom of choice and liberty and having everybody have dominion over their own bodies. That's all. And I don't think government should tell us what to do with our bodies.
Fair enough. Okay.
That's all.
Robbie's telling us to move on. We're way
yes,
over.
we got to move on. Okay. Into
sex.
Into it's not even just anybody's sex. It's
no,
the Gen Zers in particular, specific to them, because Scott, I mean, I think it's safe to say all the generations before Z were really pro-sex.
Yeah, they were very sex forward. And by the way, the way I looked up what constitutes a Gen Zer, and if you were born between 1996 and 2009, you are a Gen Zer, roughly. Those are the years. So when were you born?
Me. Oh gosh, thank you. I'm an Xer. I'm the last of I'm the last. I am the last of the Jimmy Carter babies.
Well, yeah, Jimmy Carter made people pretty damn randy, that's for sure.
Considering he was like a hardcore Christian pastor and like married to his high school sweetheart.
But he did lust in his heart, if you remember the Playboy interview. Lusted in my heart. Yeah, no, don't you? Yes, obviously you don't remember because you weren't born. Yeah, he was in a Playboy interview, which was a thing back then, and he said that adultery is not just physical adultery, but also lusting in your heart, and he has lusted after women in his heart. So yeah, that it was kind of a weird moment. Yeah, well, there you are. Apparently Gen Zers don't even do that now. Apparently they are now proudly proclaiming celibacy, not having sex. They don't like the sex, the apps, the hookup apps and all that. They're done with them. Damn it. They're done with them. And that's just weird. I have to believe that part of that, I think there's a lot of moving parts to this, and we'll cover it. I'll try and say it very quickly.
I agree.
I think there's a couple of things. First of all, expectations. Like, and this comes with porn being friggin' everywhere and so easily available that, you see this and you see, if you watch the films and see all that stuff and you're thinking this is what sex should be, and you go and you hook up with somebody you've just met. I have to preface all this by saying I was pretty much born married. Just to be clear, Janine and I are coming up on 44 years in October. Wow. So
you guys were child bride and groom.
Pretty much. Yeah. I met Janine. I met her when I was 18 years old. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. I was just a baby. So most of this is, conjecture, but I'm still a human being and read things. And so why is Gen Z turning away from this? I think the expectations are not being met because, quite frankly, I have to believe one night stands aren't that 90% of them can't be that satisfying. Having relations with someone you love and care about can be extremely satisfying and an important part of a strong and fulfilling and important. And so that may be part of it. What else? I mean, I'm trying to think of other factors why they would just like not be doing this. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're in your 20s, early 30s, my God, that's like prime real estate right there, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, this is prime time to be taking a roll in the hay, right? Like traditionally in America, that's kind of when you do it. You go to college and you sow your wild oats, and then the idea is you get it out of your system. And by your late 20s, you kind of slow down and you kind of get serious with, this person or that person. And then before you know it, you're married and you start a family. That's the idea, right? So I think a lot of moving parts, like you said, and one of them is the technology itself.
Yeah.
And a lot of these young people came of age during COVID. So they spent a good several years of where they would be going to prom or doing these like normal, coming of age things where you learn how to date and you learn how to talk to boys and girls, and you learn, that people gossip, and if you do this, oh, she's a whore, oh, he's a fuck boy, or whatever the kids are saying these days. You kind of learn that in high school, and then more so in college. It's school of hard knocks, right? They didn't have that experience because COVID kind of locked them away. They were forced onto just doing. They were forced to just doing the apps, right? And this is how they communicated. And then they found out that that's not fulfilling either. That it's not this. They're now uncomfortable even making eye contact with other actual humans. They don't know how to even act on a date should they get one, if they're not just going straight. I mean, a lot of these younger people are just, they went straight for the roll in the hay. They find you on an app and they just go straight to the sack, and they're realizing, oh, you can't do that. There's usually a process. I mean, I guess when I was coming of age in the 90s and dating, in the late 90s into the early mid 2000s. I mean, I didn't get married until I was almost 38. So I had plenty of time to go on till I was, all pushing 40 before I settled down. I had plenty of time to date and really learn myself and learn what I like and learn what I don't like about partners, and like, oh, that guy snores. I can't do that. Or, oh, he's got a weird ear. You learn all of these things. And you learn about yourself, and and I reflect back and I go, "Ooh, I was a little judgy. I don't, he's a good person. I shouldn't have done that." You kind of have a lot of self-reflection. These young people didn't get that opportunity because the apps jumped them straight from swiping right or left or whatever the direction is that you say you like somebody, and they go straight to the sack. And of course they're unfulfilled, and of course they're like against having children because they think that's all this is. They've lost the romance. They've lost the courtship. They've lost the dating. Every girl should know what it's like to have multiple suitors chase them. Every girl should experience that. Every girl should know what it's like to have her dad, open the door and tell the boy, like, I'm going to beat your ass if you do anything to my daughter. Every girl should experience that. It's part of understanding your worth and your value. And I think for a girl, I mean, obviously, I'm a biological woman. That's all I've ever been. That's the only experience I know, is that these younger people have lost all of that. The whole courting. I had a high school sweetheart, Scott. I didn't marry mine, but you learn all of that when you're that age. When you get to college and you date, and you learn all of this. And these young people aren't doing that because they're just going straight to bedding. And then they're just swinging in an overcorrection to say, it's not, I don't want sex at all. Sex is evil, and sex is this or that and the other thing. And it's like, no, actually it's not. I'm not saying you should go roll in the hay with everybody. There's a process before you get there. And that's how you learn yourself, whether you're a male or a female. But
let me ask you one thing. And then we are so far.
We'll wrap.
Oh my God. But
it's so much fun having you.
Is there romance anymore? Is there, I mean, because I'm trying to think, pop culture, what they see online.
Rom-coms are still a thing.
They're still a thing, aren't they? So there's still this craving for, I mean, Janine watches, especially during the holiday season, the Hallmark movie. There's one. They just happen to recast it over and over. But there's still a craving for romance and intimacy of that kind preceding physical intimacy. And that's
Yes.
and that's where I think perhaps I could see, like, I swipe right, like you said, I think it's right, left,
I don't
up,
know the
down.
direction.
Yeah, some direction, whatever the direction is. And I've had some friends' kids who
Okay.
hung out with in Chicago and so on. They did that. And so they'd go toddling off and clearly just to boink. And you're just going,
Yeah.
and that's, where that doesn't satisfy what I think there are cardinal needs clearly for human beings, but it doesn't. So it satisfies that, but that's like a fraction of what I think that particular pleasure can bring to your life. And they're not experiencing that. And so I'm wondering
right.
if the lack of, and the inability of people, especially men, to be romantic, because one of the reasons, and I'll leave it at this, one of the reasons I left the newspaper business full time is the men who were coming in. I came into the break room. This is allegorical, but this is pretty typical. This guy who looked like he could have posed. Do you remember they had the, the millennial in the onesie that was like, and holding a big cup of tea. He had the hipster glasses. It was a meme. It was clearly from a like clip art or something. Anyway, this guy looked like that. And I walked up, and so I'm coming in, I'm getting my coffee. I said, "Hey, how's it going?" He looks at me like I just was attacking him with a knife. His eyes got big, and he literally scurried away.
The Gen Z stare. That's what this is.
Oh, is that what that is? Yeah. And he ran away.
It's a thing.
And so
Gen
I'm thinking,
Z
okay,
stare.
so that's what women are facing, is that to be romantic, to hold it's a question of liberal women have posted several reels and comments saying that, why do I like to date conservative men? Because they hold the door, because they treat you with
That's
respect and decorum, because they'll take you out to dinner and they'll pick up the tab. All of this, can be negotiated. All of this can be, you could view it as misogynist. You could view it as sexist, perhaps. But I'm thinking, I hold the door for my wife, and I hold the door for my friends, my particularly female friends. But it's something nice. It's just like helping someone out of a car, especially if you have a low car and it's hard for someone in a dress to get out of. I had a Porsche for a while, so I just give you off your hand. Yeah, I keep thinking it wasn't a midlife crisis, but I think it was a midlife crisis. Anyway, long story short. Where has all the romance gone? And that may be a big part of the dissatisfaction with sex from Gen Z, because
I think that's right.
And I'm really just repeating what you just said, actually, is hopscotching all the parts that made the dance, if you will, enticing, even titillating. And then, then consummation. But you kind of you skip over the fun parts and the good parts and the parts that make you feel good.
Those are the parts that are fulfilling to the human soul. And
there it is.
Now they're saying it must be just the sex, that we got to get rid of the sex. No, because you guys have gone from A to Z and have left out every other letter in the alphabet. So now you're crossing out Z too. So now you're just going to sit there by your lonesome. Are you either diddling yourself? Is that what we're going to turn into, like Japan, where it's like a culture of shame, that shame of your body, shame of, and then what comes from that, Scott?
Yeah.
All the weird animals, or, stuffed animal porn and sex with weird, furries and whatever, because that's what happens in a culture of repression. So it's kind of like this overcorrection. And I hope these young people figure it out. Like the youngest of the Z's are about to start college, this batch of them.
Okay.
And I hope that they figure it out, because humanity literally depends on it. Our country, we are very short of babies in this country. We're short of babies. It will be population collapse forthcoming. Scott, like you'll get there just a little bit before me, you and Ted, but
already there.
There's going to be no money left. There's going to be no money left in Medicare, and no young people who want to take care of you. And then certainly by the time I'm there, 10, 15 years later, I'm there, and there's going to be zero Medicare, zero young people to nurse me in my nursing home. So
we always have the TED method. Just go out in the wilderness of Montana and let nature take care of you.
Just do that. We could do the old Eskimo thing, and just place grandma outside.
We used to do, but when Janine and I lived in Chicago, we'd walk back at night during the winter, and the Chicago River freezes over and obviously breaks up and stuff. And we'd stop on the bridge and look at the river and the city and all that stuff. So which ice floe do you think the kids would pay for? I'm thinking the small one over there. We would literally pick our ice floe and just say bye.
Adios. With that, that's how we're going to say adios. It's always
Okay.
a blast having you, Scott. I'm so grateful that you were able to carve
me
out some of
too.
your day to talk about this wild stuff, and especially this last topic. Like, I think this could be a whole show topic in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And I think Ted would love this conversation. If Ted survives, maybe we should do a pre-tape. If he's not eaten by a bear or run over by a moose.
Or kidnapped by beavers. Yeah.
Or something carried downriver by the beavers. I mean, he's a city guy. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
I know. It's just like, okay, this can't end well, but maybe it will.
Like, he's an Upper West Side city boy. Come on.
He wears
Ted?
skinny jeans. You can't run fast from a bear wearing skinny. He does. Oh, he's so proud. He's so proud. He's a 60-year-old man who can wear skinny jeans. It's hilarious. He's so proud.
Oh my God. It just makes him easier to eat because it's less fabric for the bear to tear through. So God bless you, Ted. I hope you're not dead. And then we could talk about this. I think this is
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Great topic.
Our producer who Ted is visiting says, I never saw jeans like that before. It's so weird.
Because skinny jeans aren't a thing in Montana. It's a thing.
It is not.
Well, more skinny jeans. I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
Saw the pictures. I'm just saying.
Okay.
So, there it is. So hopefully we'll talk about this another time. Scott Stantis, thank you so much. Always a blast. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Producer Robbie, thank you so much. I know we're over, but we're having it's a good time. I'm like in tears over this. We're having a laugh at Ted's expense. Even if he dies, like we're just still be a laugh. Ted would want us to laugh. He really would. I mean,
absolutely.
He's a comic. Yeah, he's a comic strip guy. Like he would want us to laugh.
Yes. He wanted this one. We should say goodbye.
Adios, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.